Welcome to the Mad Panda podcast, where hip hop doesn't have an expiration date. I'm Nate, along with my co-host Silas, and today we're diving deep into everything hip hop. So let's get it.
And as usual, thanks for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please like, subscribe, and share so we can keep building together. So I think today, considering it's New Year's, so Happy New Year's, everybody.
Yes.
We're going to do our little wrap up for 2024, kind of talking about some of the things that we liked and that came out. I think there was quite a bit of good stuff that came out throughout the year. So,
yeah.
One thing I was going to bring up first was just this year was like a good year for like old school cats dropping stuff. You had Snoop with his Dre with Missionary. You had I just had a list of all this in my head. I'm drawing a blank. I think we started the year with the Masta Ace one, so he's been putting stuff out for 30 years.
Yeah.
Snoop.
I forgot who else was
Cool Keith dropped a few throughout the year. He's been doing stuff since the 80s with Magnetic.
Yeah.
MC Light dropped something.
Oh, she did?
Yeah, and I just read about it, but I haven't heard it actually. So I've been meaning to check it out. Let's see. Trying to remember who else we had. Curious. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he started out mid-90s, came affiliated with MF Doom.
Okay.
And so he just put out a new album middle of the year. Actually, a really, really excellent album. Godfather Don, he's been doing stuff since the mid-80s, late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, he put one out called Thesis. It's actually a pretty good album this year. Be Real from Cypress Hill with Psycho Les, who's from the Beatnuts. So that's classics. Who else were some of the big ones? I know there was another one I'm thinking like with Snoop. Eminem put out his album.
Oh, it was like The Death of Slim Shady.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. My God, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank.
It was a lot.
Yeah, there were a lot, but it was just interesting. We had a lot of like big names. Someone will probably come to us while we're talking.
You have anyone that was your favorite so far?
My favorite album of the year, I think, has to be, there's a group called ShrapKnel.
ShrapKnel.
Yeah, it's ShrapKnel.
Okay.
It's a guy named Curly Castro and another dude named Prem Rock from, I believe, New York, New Jersey, one of those. They've been put out some stuff for a while, but they did this album with a guy named Controller 7, who's a producer, I believe, out of the Bay Area, who I first came across with some stuff he did for Anticon back in the early 2000s. So it was kind of an interesting, you have this guy that came from the whole, lack of a better word, kind of like nerd hops type stuff from the Anticon crew. And he teamed up with these guys out of New York from ShrapKnel, or on Billy Wood's label, which is the Backwoods. Yeah, right. We've talked a little bit about. But the album's called Nobody Planning to Leave, and it's just a really, really solid album all the way through. The beats are interesting. Lyrically, it's good. It's got a few guests on it. They had, I think, Open Mike Eagles on one of them. Billy Wood shows up on another one.
Okay.
But yeah, that's probably my favorite. Based on just most listened to of the year, that one's probably been the one that I've listened to a lot.
Okay.
And then I think another one would be actually the Masta Ace one I mentioned with Marco Polo, which was called Richmond Hill.
Richmond Hill.
Yeah, and they've done a couple. They had like a Brooklyn story, which was kind of from Masta Ace's like growing, like where he came from. And then Richmond Hills is where Marco Polo, which is his producer and DJ.
That's where
That's his neighborhood, and I think in Toronto.
Okay.
Yeah, so the songs is Masta Ace rapping, but then the interludes are like.
Yeah, I listened to that one. Yeah,
the interludes where it's kind of like talking with his dad.
Yeah,
kind of like,
and it seemed like with that album, it was because he was having that whole thing where it was like he was getting out of or he was like getting into drugs, and then talking about he was
something to get him back straight.
So yeah,
and that's actually really good. They've put a few. The Brooklyn story was one of their first ones that they did together.
Oh yeah.
See,
I was meaning to listen to that one.
Okay,
but I had I was running through, when I was listening to Masta Ace, I was running through like different albums and stuff like that.
We've got a lot to listen to.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
But yeah, so those are probably like, I think, two of the better ones that came out this year. I've got a whole list here, but
for me, I would say, of course, I'm just, it's just gonna have to be what it is. The GNX from Kendrick Lamar that's the one that's been playing the most. That's the one I've been jamming to the most, and honestly, that's the one I like the best. Yeah. Just because it has that, especially when I'm working, it has those upbeats, the songs on there like Squabble Up, Hey Now and TV Off and stuff like that. So those records on there are constantly
That-
in my ear for this year.
I still need to probably go back and give that one a better listen. I've listened to it one time and didn't really like, but again, a lot of it has to do with the beats. It's not
Oh yeah.
style, but I definitely do want to give it another listen. So
Yeah, I mean, it's a great conceptual album. Also, I want to say I listened to the Chromacopia album from Tyler the Creator. I would have to say I didn't really like the first half of the album. You know, it was the first I don't know, like 6 or 7 songs were just I just couldn't get into it. Yeah, I could not get into it. I started liking it more down the end of it. Did you listen to it?
yeah, I listened to it and I listened like all the way through and I was like, okay, that's a decent album.
Yeah.
And then I put it away and haven't listened.
That's why
like it just didn't really. Again, it's not necessarily my cup of tea, I guess. But I thought it was a decent sounding album from what I heard, but it just was nothing that really said, hey, you should listen to this again.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying, like, I think that's the perfect word for it. It was a decent album. Like, it was a decent album from Tyler.
I think it's been popping up on a lot of lists, so like.
Yeah, it has, and I'm kind of like sitting here with a question mark on top of my head. You know, I'm just like,
yeah, am I missing something?
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, it was good. It was okay, but it wasn't like that good to me, at least. And well, I did like the concept of him dealing with his abandonment issues about his father.
Oh, okay.
And how
is that what the whole album was about? Like,
yeah, kind of like when you kind of go down deep into it, especially when you start from the top of the album and you go working your way down to the bottom. His mom is the one in the interludes talking.
Oh, okay.
And she's like saying like, you look just like your dad or like that, even though he doesn't know his dad. And then by the end of the record, she's kind of like saying like, don't blame your dad. It was on me that I pushed him out of your life and stuff like that. So
okay.
Yeah, so he's dealing with that whole thing, and then his mom wants him to have a kid and all this type of stuff. And I mean, it was like the concept was there. I just think the music wasn't there for me.
Okay.
And if that makes sense, until like we get to the other half of the album, and then he had an interesting, I guess, feature, which I forgot what Sticky was the song. And I was kind of excited about it, and it is a hype song too, because it has, it had Lil Wayne on it. So I was like, okay, I definitely gotta go check it out. And then, it had also Sexy Red and Glorilla on it. So, which is, I already know when I seen Sexy Red and Glorilla, I was like, this is about to be the most ratchetest track on this album. And it was, and I mean, it served its purpose. I liked it. For what it was, but it's definitely not something that's gonna be playing like over and over again. It don't really have that much replay value, but it's a fun track though. I like it in that aspect.
One of those and this was what I meant to bring up at the beginning with somebody old school, and that's the Common and Pete Rock album, called Auditorium.
You did tell me about that on one of our other episodes. You telling me I need to check it out. I never did.
It's a really good album. I mean, it's solid all the way through. But I just haven't been drawn back to it. I listened to it for a little bit. Yeah. A couple weeks pretty regularly. And then I don't know. I mean, it's been on the top of a lot of like some of the more independent like groups that I follow. Like it's one of the best albums. Yeah. And I can't argue with it, but it just hasn't like pulled me in for some reason. I need to give it a better look.
Yeah. So you're not mad at them saying like,
no, I can see it. Like I hear like, the beats are classic Pete Rock, kind of old school, like funky, soulful. Yeah. Common's on point all the way through. It sounds good. Like everything's there. Yeah. So I'm not sure, it may just have been my mindset at the time. I was in the mood for some other stuff, but I mean, that brings me up kind of a side note. One of our last episodes, we were talking about collaborations. Yeah. They just announced that Mos Def and Alchemist are releasing an album in February. Ooh. And that really, that's going to be an excellent one. Yeah. So that wasn't one necessarily that we brought up in our collaborations, but so I don't know what made me think of that, but that's good. Something to check out like eventually. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some others. I got a whole list here, but for the sake of time, we spoke about this one when we spoke about female MCs, and it's Emily MC with her chocolate bars. Oh yeah, I put that in my top. That came out 2024. Yeah, okay, just a few months back, I think. So was it like late 2024? So that's a really solid. That's a really solid album. Another one that I think is great, and it's kind of hard to put it on fully on the 2024 release, but it's North American Adonis by Buck 65, Dose 1 and Gel. Oh, the reason it's hard is because they originally recorded a lot of this back in the 2000s and then lost the tapes or something like that.
Yeah, you were saying that.
Yeah.
And then they had found the tapes back or something like that.
I think they found something, or they
it.
just they started recreating it. I've heard the story, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But to me, that's actually one of the best releases of the year as well, too.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you would quite feel it as much because you're not about you.
That punk boy was it B-boy punk rocker?
Yeah, punk rock B-boy.
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling that one too much.
Yeah, but I mean, he's definitely. I think he's one of the best MCs out there. But he's definitely. I understand why people don't
mess with him like that.
Yeah, because he's offbeat, kind of out there, and Dose One is even weirder.
Yeah, so it it's like they just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, they do they're definitely
scatterbrain is kind of high.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and Dose One does this like growling voice on it all the time. It's kind of funny. Like the one thing I do like, there's one line he takes it. There's an old line from Rakim about I take 7 MCs and put them in a line.
Yeah.
And Dose One's I take 7 MCs and put them in a line and tell them they need to pick another career because you ain't gonna make any money at MCing.
Wow,
that's pretty funny. Like, yeah, and then yeah, so I would, if you like kind of more alternative or abstract type stuff, that would be a good one. And a side note to that was there's a group called Alpha. They spell A and then the number 7 and then L.
Okay.
That's actually Dose One and this rapper named Mestizo. They put out, it was just a quick EP section.
Over there somewhere?
With all the faces on it, that top 10-inch.
Oh, yep, I see it.
So it was just a song called Many Headed, but it has, who is this? It's got Mestizo, Buck 65, Dose One. It's got ShrapKnel on it, that group. Those guys are on it. Peace from Freestyle Fellowship's on it. And I think there's one other MC on there.
So it's
a remix produced by Controller 7 again, too. So that's actually, it's kind of a cheat because there's only one song and an instrumental on the record, but it's a hell of a song. So yeah, I would definitely check that one out.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about I guess we're gonna go to females. You said was it Emily?
Yeah, Emily.
I'm gonna have to go with Doechii.
Yeah.
For right. Alligator Bites Never Heals. When I first listened to it, I thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I ran back through it again just because I put it on like while I was working and had it on just playing in my head. And she got some bars, man. She really got some bars when she's strapping down in there. And also, especially with the song she has, I think it's a single that she has on there, Nissan Altima.
Okay.
And she's just like, she's going off on it, and her flow is crazy as well. And
I listened to the album, and I remember thinking it's kind of similar to what I was saying about the Tyler the Creator. I kind of listened to it. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
But after seeing, like, I saw a performance she did on one of the late night talk shows on Seth Rogen or one of those.
Yeah.
And it was a really cool performance. So I maybe need to go back and dig into it deeper, especially because that's another one that's been popping up on a lot of this. So I just want to.
Yeah. It's just, I think it's more because she's doing something that normal, I mean, I guess at this day and age, females aren't doing.
Yeah.
It's like she's actually rapping.
Yeah.
And with that, she's I guess at a mainstream level,
like,
yeah.
Lyrically, it's
it's just wild too. And then she's kind of like I don't know, I don't want to say like alternative or nothing like that, but she got kind of like this different feel to it. Like it feels like it's classic rap where she's rapping, but it's also got this new age, but it's also got something just, I can't put your finger on it, but it's like something else is different about it. So yeah, I mean, I will put that up there as one of those good listens for 2024.
Another female MC is Shay Noir.
Shay Noir. You did tell me about.
Yeah, she's out of Buffalo. I don't think she's fully part of like Griselda, but I know she's been featured on like some Benny the Butcher tracks and stuff.
Okay.
But what's cool about it, she produces most of her own stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So she's a rapper and producer.
And it's got an old school it's got kind of in that Griselda feel, that kind of boom bap style.
Okay.
But it's a really good, it's called The Lotus Child. She's put out some really good albums over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Produced a lot by herself. I think she has one produced by 38 Special. She's done some pretty good work.
Yeah.
I think that's who did it. I may be wrong on that.
Do you give an artist more points when they do produce their own records, or you don't really care?
As long as it's good, I mean, if you produce your own record and it's good, you're going to get extra points. But
yeah,
if you produce a record and it's crap, you're going to lose some points.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do like, that's one of the things I do like with Buck 65. He raps, he produces, and he does all the cuts on his albums too.
So yeah, he does get more points.
He's a triple threat kind of. So I do.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
But
just because you don't produce doesn't mean you're not a good artist either.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like like you said, like, yeah, just because you don't produce something mean you're not a good artist. However, I do give points to those artists who do produce their stuff. And some of them are kind of
like maybe you should find somebody.
you're right, like yeah, you might want to find another person, but I still kind of give you credit just for like trying it out.
No, I would, yeah.
And trying to find your sound and what you actually like instead of like going to somebody and like.
Yeah, I would give them that. Yeah, so that in that sense, yeah, I do give them credit. But yeah, if it's a bad,
but if it's trash, it's trash. Like there's no way around it.
Yeah. There's been a few. One we definitely need to bring up is Luca. People need water. Village needs peace. That could depending on my mood, that might be the better album of the year. It's up there because it's such a solid and just like a beautiful.
Honestly, yeah.
It's a really just positive, beautiful album, and it's such a
spiritual too.
Yeah, very much. And I think we've talked about how different it is than his Blackface album.
Oh yeah, that permanently Blackface.
Yeah, which is an excellent album, but it's definitely a much darker album. And so this was kind of the counter to that, which I very much appreciated. And it's produced by Real Bad Man, who's put out some really interesting production. He's worked with a lot of people recently too.
Yeah.
He did one with never mind. I can't think off the top of my head. I know he did one with Coquise, but there's one I was trying to think of off the top of my head, and I'm drawing a blank on it. But
yeah, well, with Luca, I feel like, especially with the Village Needs Water album, he definitely stayed on point through the whole album. And honestly, if I'm taking everything out of consideration, like if I'm taking popularity, just who's the who's,
album.
Yeah, I think that album might end up beating GNX, Kendrick Lamar, just because it heals, it's promoting the culture, it's pushing things forward, and it's trying to like, I guess fix things that should be fixed, and it's something. It's like a food
much more positive.
Yeah, it's more. It's what Kendrick. Yeah, it's what To Pimp a Butterfly was for me.
Okay,
because I feel like that album was, of course, the album of the. I thought that was the album of the decade, honestly. Until my other album came out, but because I was like, this is something that we have to talk about, and it's more political. It's everything, but yeah, the Luca, The Village Needs Water, I think is that. I had that same feel towards it. Like it
is that's a record that gives you chills as you're listening to it, because it's so the production and the features he has on it matches.
Yeah,
it's a solid, like
nothing feels out of place.
Yeah, it's like a perfectly produced album. Like everything about it just comes together. Doesn't mean it's the best album ever made or anything like that, but it's just a perfectly made album.
Yeah, it's perfectly made, and he's as for concept wise, it's definitely did its job.
Yeah,
and
he's quickly become, since I came across him a couple years ago, like one of my favorite MCs.
Oh yeah.
And at first, when I first heard him, I didn't quite like his voice. Like it was like I'm not sure, but then the more you listen to it, it's just like
it just seeps into you.
Yeah, and then
it's like what he's saying too is it's always on topic. That's what I want to say about Luca. Like I mean, I only listen to the two albums that you showed me. So which The Village Needs Water and The Permanently Blackface, and with those two, it seems like Luca, on track by track, he knows how to pull everything together where he's not veering off. To I guess you could say, because when rappers rapping about a subject, they might veer off on something else, like in bar or two. Yeah, on bar or two, but he stays on point throughout the whole record.
Yeah. I've become a pretty big fan of his. I definitely want to get all his other stuff on vinyl.
Yeah, we definitely gotta get him.
Another one I want to bring, and I don't think we've spoken about him before, is a guy named Old Boy Rhymes.
No, we haven't heard of him. At least I haven't heard of him.
He put out an album called The Sane Asylum. He's on Strange Famous Records, which is owned by Sage Francis.
Oh, no, yeah. That is Strange.
Yeah, this is Strange Famous.
Okay.
His Sage Francis's label. And this album has Sage Francis shows up on it. Brother Ali shows up on it.
Okay.
Locksmith shows up on it. There's a handful, really trying to think of the other ones that are on there, but it's a really good album. This guy's interesting. He's from Alaska, but he moved to like Indonesia when he was a kid, and so he's been raised, and he lives in Indonesia.
So is he an Indonesian artist?
No, he's a white dude.
Oh,
and I think he's in his 40s, and this is his first album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's produced all by. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. He used to go by the name Prolific,
Mm-hmm.
but then he changed it a few years ago to Mopes, M-O-P.
Mopes.
And so the whole album is produced by him, except one track is produced by Gel, which we've talked about.
Yeah,
that track actually features Micah 9 from Freestyle Fellowship on it.
Okay.
But it's just a great album all the way through. There's a lot of politics, social commentary.
Got
you know, and he's coming from an interesting point of view, kind of looking at the U.S. from outside in, but also spending a lot of time here too.
So he knows about how things work and stuff in here.
Yeah. So, and it goes in point with Sage Francis because he does a lot of political, very. They actually have a song called Master Cleanse that came out before this album. I'm not sure if it's on the album or not. I can't remember, but it's basically talking about Palestine.
Oh yeah,
and from a pro-Palestinian point of view, and it's I think it's produced by Mopes also, and then it's Old Boy Rhymes, Sage Francis, and then a singer that has a good voice, does a chorus on it, but it's talking very directly about Palestine.
Dang.
And I always appreciate that. Like people can. On a side note, on there's a song that came out this year by Macklemore, which
really
not a huge fan of his.
Yeah.
There's 2 songs by him actually that I like. One came out, I think, the year before, and it's called Heroes.
Okay.
And it's just kind of him talking about growing up and how the rappers were his heroes. And it's actually got cuts by Premier on it.
Oh, yeah.
But this other song is called Heinz Hall, and it's a very pro-Palestinian song that came out this year.
Okay.
And they did a sequel to it, Heinz Hall 2, that's not, I didn't like quite as much, but it actually has some Palestinian artists on there, I believe.
Okay.
But the original one is actually, if you like political music, that one you should definitely check out, especially.
So Macklemore was doing his thing on there?
Yeah. He's one of those, I think, there's a few tracks when he can actually rap pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think nobody think he's not a good
he's
rapper.
More kind of on that pop side for the most part.
Yeah, it's just
But these 2 songs, I would check out Heroes. It's a really good song. Like you get a dope beat. I don't think Premier produced it. I think he just does the cuts on it.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of, as a kid, like these were my heroes and this is what.
Oh, okay.
But this Heinz Hall song has a lot of meaning to it because it is, takes a stance that I agree with, and
yeah, well, that's cool.
We're
not
getting too political for our podcast here, but so that's actually just a single that I would put on here.
Okay.
The other thing I was going to bring up was a couple, producer-led albums. So
okay,
we talked a little bit about Old Burger Beats. He did his album 74 Out of Time.
Yeah,
and I meant to make a note of all the artists he had on there, but he's got a lot of different. He's Norwegian, I believe, and so he's got a lot of U.S. artists on there.
Okay,
a guy named Enoch, and
Enoch.
99% sure this album came out this year. It's called Waiting for Something to Happen. He's a producer out of Florida. He was with a crew called Sign, which I'd never heard of before, but I went back and they've actually have some pretty good albums.
Oh, really?
That I'll have to dig in a little bit deeper. Cine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sign.
But he did this a producer album, and the beats are really dope all through.
Okay.
He's got Boots on there. He's got I think one of the guys from Artifacts, which was an old group from them.
Yeah.
He's on there.
All right.
There was Zelda Sensei or the other guy from there, but it's got drawing a blank again on it, but just a really good solid who's who of kind of like some of the boom bap resurgence that's come out over the last few years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's solid, but I wish you would drop that as instrumental of it because the beats
are amazing on it.
Yeah, because some of them MCs I'm not a huge fan of. Like you got a guy named Zamook. Mook. No, Mook.
Oh, Mook.
Mooch.
Yeah. I think I might have.
He did an album with Muggs this year.
Yeah.
I'm just not a fan.
It's not a fan of his voice or his rhyming or the flow.
It's all kind of like gangster stuff, I guess. But not great in my opinion.
It's not.
But although I will say the track that he did with Enoch I really liked actually.
Okay.
The album he did with Muggs, the beats were sick. But I did not get past him.
Yeah, he just did not.
Yeah, so my apologies.
Get over that.
It's not my thing. So another one I just came across this one about a week ago, and he's a rapper and producer out of Canada named Pretty Ugly. It's Pretty with a period Ugly.
Pretty Ugly.
Yeah. God Ugly. Because I looked it up. If you do Pretty Ugly, there's a English MC named Pretty Ugly.
Oh,
and then there was a Lebanese one or something too. So
everybody got
that. Pretty dot ugly.
Okay.
You go to Instagram, it's Pretty DOT Ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he put an album called, I thought I wrote the name down here, but I guess I didn't. Oh, it's called Paperback Prince. That's what it was.
Paperback Prince.
And it's him. It's a DJ that's cutting up on it, and then he works with a bunch. A lot of them, I believe, are kind of out of the Toronto kind of boom bap scene that's coming out of Toronto. I think M. Dot might be on one of them. But again, just a solid, little bit more crime rap, so it's not 100% my take.
Yeah.
But the beats again are really dope, and I think every MC on there, including Pretty Ugly, is pretty dope.
Oh, so
I like it, and the cuts on there are great.
Okay, so they spitting on there.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a good album. So I would definitely check them out. So anyway, I've hogged any.
Nah, I can't even think of oh no, yeah, I do another album this year, which I'm gonna say right now I'm probably gonna get some flack for, which is Schoolboy Q's album.
It's
Blue Lip.
Being hit or miss. I've seen a few people have that on their top.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
20s, and then I've seen other people complete.
Yeah. Nah. I mean, at least for this first time around, when I listened to it, I really wasn't feeling it too much. You know, it was interesting. It wasn't like no, this is some kind of like standard or type of album. He was definitely trying something different on there.
Okay, so it was different from what he's done in the
Yeah. However, it didn't really connect with me. It's a lot of jazzy, well, not a lot of jazzy stuff, but he got some kind of like jazz instrumentals on there. And then he did some kind of like, I don't know, but I think where Schoolboy Q for me shines the most is when he's on those kind of West Coast type.
Is he a West Coast MC?
Yeah, he's from
is he on TDE?
Yeah, he's on TDE.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in the same group with Kendrick and stuff.
Okay, that's right.
Well, I guess Kendrick left now.
I thought he wasn't from the West Coast, but yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I've never really listened to his stuff. I did.
Oh, you didn't?
I was gonna listen to that album. It was like on my playlist, but then I think something else caught it. I never went back. So
yeah.
You saying it has jazzy stuff kind of does intrigue me because I do like.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it he has the jazzy stuff, but for me, it didn't connect well, you know, and his flows didn't really match the instrumental or like how I would like it to. But I mean, I applaud him for trying something different, and the people who do like it, I mean, that's great. But for me, I would have to go back and probably like let it sit for me for a while. Maybe it was just too much to me at first. You know, I was coming in expecting a Schoolboy Q, you know, type of thing. So maybe it just threw off my perception of it.
You have to kind of prepare yourself to listen.
Yeah. So now I got to prepare myself. But I did like the song Pig's Feet. They talk about, I think it's pretty much talking about the cops or something like that. But yeah, it's called Pig's Feet, and it has Childish Major on it. And yeah, that was Childish Major. He's an artist. I listened to his album like back in the day called Wusa. He's a pretty good artist. He's been he's been making his way as a producer too.
Oh really? Okay.
I don't know if he started off as a producer first or a rapper, but I know that he has a lot of production credits on a lot of stuff that I'm just like, wow, you produced that? I'm like, oh snap. So but yeah,
based on what you know of my taste, would I like the Schoolboy Q album?
You might think it's interesting. I don't think you might like it though.
Okay.
I don't
think
it's
worth me checking out.
It's worth you checking out. I don't know if you might like it, but you might think it's interesting. But yeah, the Pig Feet song, but that's like the last or the second to the last album.
Okay.
I mean the album. The second to last track on there, yeah. So that was the one I'm kinda.
Oh, another producer album, a guy named Brutal Caesar out of London, I believe, England.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a producer album. I should have made more notes about who's on all these producer albums, but it's an album called Odio. Yeah. You know, I've listened to it once or twice, and it's good.
Oh, it is.
I need to dig into a little bit deeper.
Okay.
But it was pretty good from what I heard. So
yeah.
We forgot to put our timer on today.
Oh yeah, I don't know what time it is.
I'm just gonna run through a quick list real.
Okay, go ahead.
And then we'll jump into our top 5. So, we talked briefly, I think, about this guy last week or one of our last, Hugo Monster out of the Bay Area.
Yeah, we did talk about him.
Good album. Checks in the mail. I would check that one out. Lee Scott, he's a British MC. La Scala is the name of the album.
Okay.
I love his voice. It's got this really it's very British.
Oh, really?
And I really like the way he raps, like the way it's kind of slow. And very British in its pronunciation.
It's kind of like Lil Sims in a way. I mean, I know she's a girl, but
kind of. but a little drier maybe. But yeah, kind of like, because you just can hear the accent and it just sounds, I don't know. I guess I'm a sucker for that. I don't know. But let's see. The one I briefly mentioned was Be Real and Psycho Less.
Yeah.
I was really surprised at how much I liked that album.
Okay.
Some of Be Real's side projects have not been great, honestly.
Yeah.
And even some of the later, Cypress Hill's hit or miss. Some of the albums
Are awesome.
are incredible. Some of them are kind of
Yeah.
but I was really surprised at how much I like this album. The beats are really tight. Psycho Less, I like Beat Nuts, but I've never been a big fan of them lyrically. It's just their production.
Yeah.
But he comes off pretty dope on here, and Be Real does too. So I would definitely check that one out. It's called Real Psycho. Afro and Stu Bangus, The Bad and the Ugly. Excellent. It's a short album. It's like 4 or 5 songs. But just really good.
So really short albums, like
yeah, it's kind of like an EP, I guess you consider it.
Yeah.
But Afro's an interesting. He spells it A-F-R-O, all capital.
Oh, you space it all out.
And if you look at him, he's got kind of this baby face kind of with his big afro.
Oh, really?
You hear him rapping and it's this kind of deep, crisp voice. And like the first time I heard it, I'm like, that's not you rapping.
Yeah.
It doesn't, but he's a really good MC in this album. There's a song, and I can't think of it. I'm terrible at this. But he just kind of talks about, like, I think it's kind of like pairing up MCs, like, what about this MC versus this MC?
Yeah.
Type of thing. And he just names all these different, it's really cool. Like,
so he's just like in a versus battle type of situation?
Kind of like, but it's just this whole like list of them, like, cause he's going back and forth.
Yeah.
And Stu Bangus, who's a really dope boom bap style producer. I don't know, I hate saying the name though, it just sounds silly to me, but no offense, dude, but you make dope beats though, so everybody should check out his production work. And his kid has his own what's the where you sell your beats on? BeatStars account.
Wow.
Selling beats under the name Young Bangus.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So I give props to you both. I just feel funny saying the name for some reason.
It is
kind of weird.
Have you listed his kids' beats?
A little bit, just ones he'll post on like Instagram and stuff like that.
Okay.
Like they're good, it's just good, solid boom bap style hip hop.
Okay.
Nothing too like
nothing crazy or anything like that.
Experimental. They're just solid bap style beats that are just good. Dylan and Bat Sauce, excellent album. Don't know much to say about them enough to really give them details, but I would check them out.
Okay.
A Stress Eater, which is Cool Keith, and then 7L and Esoteric. So if you're familiar with Starface, that's 7L, Esoteric, and Inspector Deck. But on this album, it looks like, if you look at the album cover, it looks exactly like a Starface album. It's like a comic book, but it doesn't have Inspector Deck on it. It's got Cool Keith. Good. I've listened to it a little bit. I haven't given it a deep dive yet, but Cool Keith is Cool Keith, so you got to give him a shot on that. Apollo Brown and Crime Apple. Not 100% on this one yet. I've listened to it a little bit. Crime Apple, I've heard some stuff before by him that I really liked.
Yeah.
And I've always liked Apollo Brown, so it's just another one I got to give a better listen to.
Okay.
B. Dolan, who's the guy, he's affiliated with Sage Francis, but this album is put out by himself. The Wound Is Not the Body. Really good album. Talks a lot about, he had back surgery.
Oh,
really like serious back surgery, and so the album's a lot about that.
Okay, so he's talking about his experience through that.
Yeah, there's one song on there I like, those How to Rob Italians, and I think he's an Italian guy, so he's like just talking about, it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Boldy James and Harry Fraud did The Brictionary. Not bad.
The Brictionary.
Yeah, Harry Fraud's a good producer. The only thing that bugs me is every track has this female voice saying La Musica de Harry Fraud on every single track. And actually, talking about Pretty Ugly, he does that on a few of his tracks too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, which I've heard other producers do that, but it's cool, whatever.
Is it because, like, is that the beat tag, or?
It's just on every album that they have.
They just put in La Musica de Harry Fraud?
As far as I know, yeah. But it's a good, if you like Boldy James, I think you'll like that album. I don't know if you're familiar too much with him.
No, I'm not.
I'm trying to think where I want to say he's from Detroit.
Okay.
And he's just kind of that New York crime type rap and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's him. Might be confusing him with somebody else, but I don't know. Most Sick Rhymes is another guy from London. Really good. Yeah. Mosik.
Okay.
Rhymes. Check him out, I would. Ghost of the Machine. And they put an album out called Aliens Exist, No One Cares. Don't know a lot. I can't remember if this is a producer or not, but it's a really good album.
Okay. And that's an interesting name too.
Yeah. Cavalier and Child Actor. They put out an album on Backwoods. Cavalier, he put another album out this year that I didn't care for.
Okay.
But this album I actually kind of like a lot. It's an interesting.
Is it more boom bappy, or where we at with it?
It's a Backwoods style album, which
It could be anything.
abstract boom bap, I guess is the
Okay.
way to say it. It's hard to really describe this stuff. We've talked about having to dive into that one.
Yeah.
And then I guess the last one I'm going to bring up is a guy named Lyrics the Lyricist. It's this dude out of Montreal, I believe.
I heard that name before.
Really good. What I like about him is he raps in English and French.
Oh,
And he goes
okay.
back and forth. I don't know what he's saying half the time, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
And he works with some good producers. I can't remember. This one's an album called Medication Error, and I think it's just, I've given it one quick listen and liked what I heard a lot, but I just haven't gone in and done a deep
dive into it.
Yeah. It's hard when so many albums come out to really dig into.
Yeah. I mean, because there's some that I'm still probably forgetting about that I listened to this year. And I'm like, man, I'm going to come back. I'm like, man, I forgot to say this album.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Hold on, but there is one I want to say too. It's a posthumous album though.
Okay.
It's Mo3's Legendary or Legend.
Did that come out this year?
I believe it came out this year. Yeah.
Was that we talked earlier? Was it one that was recorded before he died, or is this one where they took stuff and finished it up for him?
I believe this is one that they touched up, and I believe that he had his verses laid down, but
they weren't like leftover verses. He was actually recording the songs.
Yeah. I believe that there's songs that he had left around. They just kind of like put them on there because they have features on there that he never worked with. If that makes sense. Like
we were talking about that before. So that's where you were kind of disappointed.
Yeah. I was like, don't get me wrong. If he would have worked with them in real life, I would have loved it. You know, like I mean, real life. Well, when he was alive, because he has like the Mexican OT on there, and that Mexican OT is becoming one of my favorite ones that I'm starting to listen to. Also, it's just he's a unique character. He got a nice flow to him. But yeah, I was saying that I would have loved to hear Mo3 and Mexican OT go back to back on the track.
Actually collaborate together.
Yeah, but they are on the track together. It's just that Mo3 is dead, you know, and it kind of like, because I mean I feel like definitely if he would have heard that Mexican OT on there, Mo3 would have went harder, which would have caused Mexican OT to go harder, and you know what I'm saying. So you just it's just I mean it's a great track anyway, but yeah, I want to put that album out there. Legend, Mo3.
Yeah, so I think it was a good year, and it brings up something like I've seen several names come out and talk about how they're not inspired by hip hop, like famously Andre 3000.
Yeah, Andre 3000.
That he wasn't really being inspired by it, and then Dr. Dre just released a statement this week saying that modern hip hop's doing nothing for him. And I've heard like even Pete Rock complained a little bit about it, and Nas is a little bit. And I'm like, and even just online, you see all kinds of people that, hip hop's dead.
Yeah, hip hop's dead.
But obviously, I mean,
it's well alive.
30 albums in this last few minutes,
and
that's probably half of what came out.
This year.
And I'm sure there's a bunch of really good stuff that we've missed. I know for a fact there's some good stuff and stuff that I would not necessarily like. There's a lot of boom bap stuff that I don't feel the lyrics as much, so I'm not listening to it. But that's really solid. Like if you like
the boom bap,
you're gonna like a lot of that stuff, So I don't know.
Yeah, everybody was kind of just dropping left and right today. Not today. In 2024.
Yeah.
So
it's like, you got to take some. It's not out there like on all the popular radio. It's not on TV or anything like that. But you got to dig for a little bit. But hip hop is not dead.
Yeah.
Mainstream hip hop has always been
mainstream hip hop.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you want to find some good stuff, you got to just get out there and look for it. Just take a few minutes. It doesn't take long. You can there's a bunch of groups on Facebook, Hip Hop Lifers, and a few other ones like that. I'm gonna do a plug for this guy. I was actually showing him. It's the Boom Bap Review, put out from Everybody's Hip Hop label, which is, I want to say they're based out of Austin, but I might be wrong on that. A guy named, I think that's MC Till. So no, it's not Boston. He's out of like Cincinnati or something.
Oh,
him or Parker Pubs, I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's MC Till. But like he goes over all the albums that came out this year, and he's done this for the last 4 or 5 years. So there's a lot of stuff out there. So get off your asses and go look for it. And Dr. Dre just stop hanging out with all the popular artists and dig in and find some actual talented guys out there.
Yeah, you gonna
'Cause
find
there's good
something you
hip-hop
like.
out there.
Yeah, you definitely gonna find something he likes.
Yeah, you should at least. So,
All right.
the stuff I saw is that the reason he's mad is because the Missionary album didn't do as well as he thought it should. So that's why he's saying he's not inspired.
Sorry. I mean, you gotta think about it. Like I said, he in a day of age where it's more kids listening to this stuff. But I mean, don't get me wrong, that album was pretty solid. So like I said, Snoop was definitely on there rapping.
I ended up listening to it. I will say, I thought Snoop did sound a lot better than he has in a long time.
Yeah.
But I did not like any of the beats, really.
Oh, you didn't like the
really
beats?
Stood out.
Yeah, it wasn't like a standout type of beat selection, but the main thing that stood out was Snoop for me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, yo, Snoop is gas on here.
Yeah, he sounded like, like he hasn't in a long time. I guess out of the Olympics and the Snoop on the Stoop, all that merchandise.
Yeah.
Got him inspired.
Huh?
Anyway, real quick, let's do our top 5.
All right, let's see what we got in here.
Something interesting this time.
All right. Top 5 MCs.
We kind of did that last week, but
then we did the Bay Area.
No, I just meant like we talked about our favorite MCs. I don't know if we posted that one yet, but yeah. But anyway, let's
run through it.
Yeah, I mean, my top is AC Alone, Pasta News. Why am I drawing a blink again?
Yeah, it is.
We know you're.
Well, the number one is definitely Big Crit.
Yeah.
I say Kendrick Lamar.
I put one on there that a lot of people don't bring up is Chuck D. I don't think he gets
Chuck D from Public Enemy.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think he's like lyricist, but he's a hell of an MC. And what he says always has meaning to it.
Yeah.
It may not be the cleverest or the most complex lyrically, but it's there. Yeah. Yeah, it's got substance to it, which some of even the best lyricists out there can't say that they have substance in everything they say. They can just say it witty, like very technically, technical, but they're not saying much. So,
yeah, for me, I'm at this. It's Crit, Kendrick, probably Scarface. These are gonna be interchangeable, like probably in the next 5 minutes. But I want to say Andre, because I've been listening to a lot of Andre 3000 lately. So Andre from Outkast. And then my last one will probably have to be it's kind of hard to put somebody in that spot.
I want to throw in Pharaoh Monch. I think he's one of my favorite MCs, I think.
Pharaoh Monch?
Yeah, he's from Organized Confusion.
Okay.
We talked about the song Simon Says.
Yeah.
He did an album a couple years ago, and it was under the name 13. And it's actually more of a rock record almost.
Oh, really?
It's him. He was rapping the whole time, but it's got a drummer and a guitarist, but it's kind of like breakbeat drumming.
Okay.
With some guitar work, but then it'll drop into just kind of like, classic kind of hip hop sound.
Yeah.
But it's a really interesting album. It explores a lot of like dark themes, like the number 13.
Okay.
And there's songs like about exorcism. There's a song called Racist on there, where he's basically rapping from the point of like a racist guy. Yeah. And it's a pretty like, like, ooh, like I feel bad as a white guy sometimes listening to it. Like, ooh. Not that I've ever sounded like that guy, but it's just.
Yeah, but you still
kind of like, there's terrible people out there, but he's quickly like, and I've gone back a lot and listened to some of the Organized Confusion.
Yeah. And
really just remember like what a great MC he is. Some of his solo work, I haven't been overall, like, I think beat-wise and stuff, it hasn't been as good. Although Simon Says might be that could be a top 5 beat of all time.
Okay.
But yeah, I would definitely put him up there. And I think when we talked about our favorite MCs, I think I even mentioned that if you asked us again in a week, it'd be completely different. This list, I'm sure, is completely different because I don't think I brought him up.
Yeah.
I don't think I brought Chuck D up either. So, I don't know. You pull out one more?
Let me see. Who's my last one? Come on, somebody give me some.
Couple more for me. I'm going to go with like Brother Ali.
Brother Ali's one of yours?
He's really good. Just a good. I'm excited. He's got a new album coming out, and sometime in the next month or so, all produced by Ant.
Okay.
And another one is Aesop Rock, not to be confused with ASAP Rocky, but Aesop Rock. He's a really dope MC, like complex,
and
I don't even know how to explain it. Like,
yeah,
subject matter is kind of all over the place sometimes, but it's really good. He's got the song called Blood Sandwich,
and
it's basically just the chorus is like, I haven't talked to my brothers in a long time, so I wanted to put one out for them, type of thing. And so he tells these stories.
Okay.
Like one story is about his one brother at a little league game where the team they're all chasing a bunny or something in the field instead of playing the game.
Oh, wow.
He talks about his other brother who wanted to go see a Ministry concert. Ministry is an industrial band.
Okay.
And so he wants to go see a Ministry concert in New York, and his mom is like, nope. After she like reads an interview of him and thinks he's evil. And I like the says something, could you imagine a death in the fam from an industrial fandom or something like this? Just
Day.
But it's just like there's some really good stuff that he does. There's this chart that's been going around for the last year or two, and it shows MC's vocabulary, like how much, like the words that they use.
Okay.
And I forget it has a ton of people on it, but it's like the farther out it goes to the right is the more, and Aesop Rock is like here, and Micah 9 is like right there with them.
Wow, really?
The next one is like here, and then most of the MCs.
Oh, so they're far.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to their vocabulary, doesn't necessarily mean they're better MCs or better rappers, but the way they rap and the words that they use and the vocabulary is like crazy. Like,
Jesus.
Yeah, but you might like some of the Aesop Rock stuff.
Okay, I might have to check.
I think you would feel him a lot better than you do Buck 65.
Buck 65.
So,
okay,
I would definitely check him out. The Impossible Kid is a really good album.
Okay, The Impossible Kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check that one out too.
And that's for you guys that aren't familiar. Hopefully, most people on here should be familiar with Aesop Rock. But like we said earlier, you got to do your homework, so check him out.
Yep. I guess my last one will probably be J. Cole then. But like I said, this could change.
Oh yeah, mine will change.
Yeah, this could change.
Yeah.
Yeah, J. Cole probably had to be the last one.
Yeah, I mean, I think these like if I did a top 20, these would be in that top 20.
Yeah, most definitely.
Narrowing it down to top 5 is like, it's going to rotate just depending on the mood, what I had for dinner that day or whatever.
Yeah, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Just whatever, it's going to affect it. So,
but I guess our number, like 1 and 2s, always kind of stay the same though.
Yeah, pretty close. Like AC Lone and Boston News are probably always going to be up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, all right then. I think that's a good one. Hope everybody enjoyed. Thanks for joining in. And again, like, subscribe, and share.
Yep. And Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's. Let's make 2025 the year of the Mad Panda podcast.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.